All right, so plan of action for the next week, and it's probably going to be a lot longer than that. But on the development side, there's going to be a lot of things we need to get into place first in terms of organizing the user stories. Side note, if you don't know what a user story is, all it does is basically outline a pathway that a user is going to take on the platform. And it needs to be as specific as possible. And there are like acceptances, like criteria for it to be approved as a working user story, things that need to function correctly for it to be deemed successful. Now, this is a thing we didn't do correctly when we first hired a developer. A lot of our user stories, or if not all of them, were more general idea based rather than specific actual usage of like this is exactly what they need to be doing, and these are the things that need to happen. Because on the back end, as a developer, you go through each user story and understand the logic behind it and build out that logic. So, for example, one user story would be the registration flow. So, let's say for our users, we want a 3 or 4 step registration process when they want to register, and only the first one is required because that will be their name, their email, and their verification, their phone, and their verification as well. Now, one acceptance for that user story is once they finish that first step and they're on to the second, third, whatever steps later, no matter what, it's automatically creating their user profile and saving them as a user. So if they bounce off the page or if they just skip through the other parts, which the other parts will be optional, it'll still save them as a user and remember them. Another acceptance would be to have session memory. So if they leave and come back in a day, it should remember them and not make them sign in again. Now, some platforms you can do, I think it's like a week. Some, I think you can do a month, but that's beside the point. So user stories are very important to give both you the organizational tools as well as the developer the understanding of what the development of the software will look like and what things need to happen, because you can always fix the front end, the small things, but the logic needs to be in place so that the entire platform is set up. So the first step that I'm doing right now is building out all the user stories as specific as possible with everything included, and then even like as I'm going, I remember things that we talked about that we want in the future. I'll have it as like a future thing, and this will also allow it. So let's say there's something you want to add as for us, like a registration. There might be another step we want to add in terms of adding connections or people you know on the platform right away, so that you can kind of like Facebook or Instagram. Like if you've ever started an account, it'll ask you to add these contacts that you know. That isn't something we're going to do now because the social element comes later, and but we know, okay, this is going to go exactly in 1.1, which is onboarding for users. So once all of that is set up, and I'm on page 30, I think, and I've only gotten through user onboarding, user account management, seller onboarding and account management, and then number 4 is user functions, but specifically for property exploration. So looking at the catalog page, what shows up on the catalog page, the filters, how they can filter, how the filters affect everything, clicking on the card, hovering on the card, and then actually going onto the profile listing or the listing page for the individual property, and then sharing, saving, contacting the seller, eventually making an offer directly on the platform and in platform messaging, and then also like reporting a property if it's incorrect information or if it's a daisy chain or whatever it is. So that is the organization part. Once that's complete, then we will be able to go to, and Jack will definitely want to help in just going through all of it and seeing, okay, what's great, what do we not need to touch for now, like that. What needs some little tweaks and fixes, what's just missing completely, and some of these things might need to be an extra charge because we didn't properly define it in the beginning, which this is another reason. Make sure to put as much time and effort into the user stories before you hire a developer, because it'll allow them to understand the scope and will save you the headache of what we're going through right now, which, I mean, good thing we're doing it now, not down the line, when the platform's out, and we need to figure out what needs to be fixed, what needs to be improved, because it really just lays out the bare bones for the entire software and the whole project. So fixing up any bugs, and then the design and the UI, UX, user interface, user experience. So the user interface is what the user interacts with in C, so like mostly the front end. The user experience is logic flows or efficiencies and time delays that will help make it more smooth for the user. So I'm sure you've used a clunky app that you click a button and it loads and it loads and it loads and nothing happens, or you open a menu and just like covers something important, so stuff like that. So fixing those things up, which those are smaller things, but they'll definitely stack up. Once that's complete, is giving it to him, and what we should definitely be doing, just thinking about this right now, is give it to him in waves. So here's a few things, do it while we review other stuff. Here's a few things, do it while we review other stuff, just to make it so that we can make the most of our time and efficiency, especially if he's done with the program. I don't think he's done. I need to check what he said. I just sent him a message today. But that is why user stories are so important. And if you're ever thinking of making some sort of software, some platform, always outline it with user stories. The reason we thought it was like whatever at the time, I believe, is because we built out kind of like the entire thing through AI, and most of it worked. There's like backend logic that was like functions not working, but the ideas were there. So in our heads, oh, you can just copy this, but no, that doesn't work. So I mean, for the most part, I'm not giving the credit where credit's due. It is done well, but there are some things that I saw it immediately. I'm like, oh shit, this is bad. But anyways, hopefully, I'm praying before November we can have this out. And by out, I mean like absolutely flushed out, everything, bugs dealt with, everything works properly for the users. That's all I got today. I'll see you guys next time. Free Palestine.